it's your girl, #1 Femro Stan and the best Black Mage on Crystal, Zoomizoomi. I'm here today to prepare my fellow one-eyed casters for Endwalker. As you probably know, or are about to figure out, I was invited to the Endwalker media tour. That's kinda poggers, and I'm super honored that Squeenix invited me. I really appreciate it. Just please remember that I was not playing a final version of the game. Please take everything I say with a grain of salt. The exact numbers and changes may vary in the final release of Endwalker, so my data or my words could be slightly off. Now, let's talk about Black Mage. For those of you that don't know, Black Mage is a pretty cool class and my favorite. We boast the highest DPS output in the game, some of the flashiest effects, and the prestige of being an iconic Final Fantasy class. So how does Endwalker add to those three important pieces of Black Magery? Well, first up, we have maybe our biggest and most important change. Endwalker fixes our AoE rotation. Thank God! Oh my God! Seriously! Oh, holy buckets! This is so good. This is the thing I'm the most excited for with the Endwalker change. It is such a big quality of life buff. Black Mages finally have a useful Blizzard 2 and a less clunky Fire 2. I, personally, did not like the old Black Mage AoE rotation. I also don't know many people who loved it either. In my opinion, it felt clunky to me with how Flare was just sort of jammed in there and how Freeze was supposed to be a substitute for Blizzard 2 because Blizzard 2 is nightmarishly awful. Seriously, a close range AoE on a squishy mage, what? But now we have High Fire 2 and High Blizzard 2. We're going to be using these abilities very similarly to Blizzard 3 and Fire 3, as in we will be using them to swap between Ice and Fire phases, our Astral and our Umbral. In addition to that, High Fire 2 now also grants us Enhanced Flare. It's a flare with more flare. It does more damage and stacks up to 2 charges. My recommendation would be to use High Fire 2 3 times. Once to switch over to Astral Fire, and then the other 2 to gain 2 stacks of Enhanced Flare. Then, just let both flares fly. After that, do High Blizz once, Thunder 4, and then Freeze. Then rinse and repeat. That's your AoE rotation. Obviously, use whatever rotation that works for you, but this is a way I could see Black Mages playing. And it's pretty great. Other notable abilities are Foul is an instant cast, whoa! The lack of Enochian tediousness and improved damage. Amplifier, which grants us an instant polyglot that we can use to instant cast Foul! A second sharp cast. And Paradox. Also instant cast Foul! Now, let's talk about these abilities in depth. Starting with the sexiest one. Paradox. Oh, baby, Paradox. This ability is sexy. Seriously, I would date this ability if I could date video game abilities. Maybe I can't. I'll figure something out. But Paradox is a super interesting ability and rewards us for our proper rotations while giving us a fun way to spice up our rotation. And it comes in 2 flavors. There's an Astral Fire version that gives us a 40% chance to give us Fire Starter, and an Umbral Ice version, which costs no MP to cast. It looks great, it feels great to use, and it rewards us for a good rotation with a bit of extra oomph. I love Paradox, and I think it's going to be pretty popular. I think we'll go into rotations like Fire 1. It literally replaces that button, and it fulfills the same purpose of refreshing our fire stacks with the added bonus of more sexy damage. You only get 1 Paradox in your fire phase though, so you may still have to use Fire 1 if you need a second refresher. Paradox procs whenever you switch from a respective element with max stacks, so you can throw it into your Umbral phase too. For that one, I would just say use it wherever it feels comfortable. I got used to tossing it in after Blizzard 4, but find whatever works for you. Also, on a side note, I really love the icon for the spell, how it's just a Black Mage having a blast. It's really cute. I already explained High Fire 2 and High Blizz 2, so now for our last and our simplest ability, Amplifier. It just gives us 1 polyglot. The animation is pretty rad and it's a nice ability to have, but yeah, that's it. Sweet and simple. Now for the old abilities and traits. First up, Foul is an instant cast! No! In case you couldn't tell, I'm pretty excited. Other traits include Aspect Mastery 4, which changes our Fire 2 and our Blizzard 2 to High Fire 2 and High Blizz 2. Also, Mana Font got a buff too. It is now lowered to 120 seconds cooldown. Enhanced Enochian 3 just gives us a 20% damage buff. I'll use this time to chat about Enochian 2. The change they made to Enochian where it's automatic now is so nice. It made my rotation and opener just that much smoother. I think it's a really good quality of life change, and I'm super happy about it. I think everyone's gonna love it. Moving on, Enhanced Sharpcast 2 gives us a second cast of Sharpcast. It's pretty useful, and I usually use my Sharpcast on Thunder, so this basically means I'll always have my Thunder instant cast going, but feel free to use it. Try it out on different abilities, including, hey, that one Fire Paradox does give us a Fire refresher. And then finally, Aspect Mastery 5. It basically just gives us Paradox and Paradox's little marker to the elemental gauge. And that's about it for changes and new abilities. Now, you might be thinking, how does Zoomy, me, feel about them? Well, let's break it down with the criteria I mentioned earlier. In my opinion, Black Mages should feel like how I described them earlier. The class capable of the highest damage output in the game, a class with very flashy effects, and a class that's iconic to the Final Fantasy series. So let's grade Endwalker's Black Mage changes with those 3 criteria. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'll grade all of them in terms of DPS, flashiness, and iconicness. So first up, we have DPS, which I would give a 10 out of 10. We have some satisfying damage with Enhanced Flare and Paradox both. Foul being an instant cast and a second sharp cast help us do more damage more often, and Amplifier is just icing on the cake with its free Polyglot. Not to mention Paradox. Bigger damage ability, a better refresher than Fire 1, not much to complain about. Flashiness, also a 10 out of 10. Paradox is a gorgeous ability, and so is High Fire and High Blizzard. Even Amplifier has a really cool effect. Black Mage is looking more flashy than ever. I absolutely love it. Iconicness, also a 10 out of 10. Black Mage feels right. While I personally would prefer some more Void-themed abilities, I do think the continued elemental angle for Black Mage is doing kind of the right feels for the class. It plays into Black Mages of past Final Fantasy games and allows you to feel like iconic characters like Lulu or Vivi. I really can't fault the devs for that and for playing back to sort of the classic Black Mage effects. So that means Black Mage and Endwalker is getting a 30 out of 30 from me, a perfect score. I gotta say, I have zero complaints about what I played in the media tour, both with Black Mage and in general. It felt like the game had a massive step up in quality of life changes while also adding a lot of cool and new things. I'm really excited for Endwalker, and if you want to hear my full thoughts on the media tour, my theories, and my Reaper video when it comes out, please check out those videos as well. Don't forget to subscribe and tap that little bell icon too. But again, please remember the content shown in this video is subject to change. Those aspect numbers could and probably will change. This is my first real YouTube video, but I'll be making more Final Fantasy videos as well as continuing to upload my VODs from stream here. Because you can always catch me streaming at twitch.tv/Zoomizoomi97. I stream there a lot. That's sort of my main profile, so to speak, and I'm happy to answer any media tour questions there as well. My links are below, and I hope you enjoyed the video. This is Zoomy, and I hope you have a pretty poggers day. It's a cast